This conference will now be recorded.
And, let me do it. Okay, so last class we were discussing about the multi-node installation of Cloudera Hadoop cluster, and we used a local repository. So configured a local repository for Cloudera Manager as well as CDH. So CDH we use parcels, and we completed the installation. And also we used custom database, and we have seen how to do that configuration with a custom DB. So we just created a MySQL database and created a user and granted permission on that user. Also, we installed and configured the driver file properly. So Java JDBC connected jar. Then we first step. So we have to do all the prerequisites similar to our single node or other installation. So all the prerequisites we need to complete. Then we created the local repositories for Cloudera Manager and CDH parcels. Then we did the manual installation of Cloudera Manager packages with the yum install command. So we did the installation of Cloudera Manager server and all other components in one of the hosts, and we call that as Cloudera Manager server. And on all other hosts, we just did the installation of agent, daemon, and JDK alone. And we did this DB configuration by using some custom script. And then next thing we have done is configured all agent config file to point at Cloudera Manager server. Then we started all Cloudera Manager agent as well as master services. And then we got this Cloudera Manager window, and we did the installation from that remaining installation from this Cloudera Manager. So that's about the local installation, and I think if we just did HDFS and yarn alone, and we choose a couple of node as master, and remaining are workers. So this is the things we did as part of installation, and now, okay, so we will do the installation of AD server again. Okay, and now we will do the AD Linux integration. Because most of the time you may need the same user ID and password across all the environment. So also if you look into an enterprise, so there you can see everywhere is using the same user ID and password across all the environment. And we will see some sort of security. So that is called Kerberos. So we will see how to integrate. Okay, so before doing Kerberos, we will see how to integrate AD with Cloudera Manager. Basically, we are using configuring Cloudera Manager to use AD credential to log in. Then we will see about the Kerberos. So how we can set up Kerberos using this Cloudera Manager. Okay, and as a first step, so we need to create an AD server. The one we already created, so that we can uh, keep it, but I'm going to create a new Active Directory server. So for that, what we need is we just need a Windows server. We have already seen that Active Directory installation, but I'm just doing it again so that you will come to know this when we do the installation. So how to do the installation, and those who people already missed that will be much more easier. So what I'm going to do here is I have a AWS login. So you can also do this and registration or any cloud. And our cluster is installed with multiple nodes. Okay, so this is something with a training master 1, master 2. These are our uh, I think master 1, master 2, master 3, worker 1, 2, 3. Yeah. And I'm going to create a new Windows server which will work as my authentication server. For that, just here launch an instance, and here we have option community AMI, and you can search with Windows, okay, any Windows server, but I already choose one server which was okay. So what you need to do is you just need to, I'm just selecting Windows 2012 and 64-bit. So this AMI ID I already have with me, so I'm just choosing that. Okay, I think that is not there, then fine. So maybe some other location, but what you have to do is just to search with the Windows Server 2012 64-bit. Okay, there are a lot of Windows Server available, so I'm choosing the one with the base 64-bit. Just select this and choose the type. So depending on the load, you can increase higher or lower end configuration. So I'm just choosing only 2 CPU 4 gig RAM server. So because we are just using this for a Active Directory server alone, but and also our is completely a testing environment. Later, if we feel like this server is not performing well, so we have option to upgrade that. So by thinking the cost, so you have to choose the lower version, whatever the lower version possible. So I'm choosing this one, and network. So here how many instances? I just need a one Windows server, and here VPC subnet. You have to choose the one which you already selected for other servers that you have used for building your cluster. And adding storage. So 30 gig is already there. I think that is okay. So otherwise, just increase 50 gig and choose this delete on termination, so that whenever we delete this server, so this will also go away. Then add tags. Okay, security group. So choose the one. I think I have something called training Cloudera. Then review and launch. Just launch. Choose the key. So here you can choose an existing key or you can create a new key. So I already have the key created and downloaded. I'm just using that. So training underscore Udemy as key. Then launch instance. And if you view the instances, you can see those servers. So this one I'm just renaming as old here, and here I'm just adding training AD. Okay, Active Directory is just a tool that Windows Server provides that will you can use for your authentication mechanism. That means you would be able to create users and group. That users you can sync with your Linux servers. So as a first step, you need to connect to this server. So training ID, and go ahead and hit connect. Then if you want to get the password, just click get password. Okay, so this is not ready, so you have to wait few minutes. Okay, 4 more minutes, because the status here is showing initializing. Okay, in AD server, what we will do, we will create our users and group here, and the same will be updated or available across all the servers. So first we need to integrate our Linux servers with this AD server, so that you can use that Windows authentication across your environment. Okay, so this is just initializing. Just hit connect, and we can just try to get the password. So for getting the password, you need to use your key that you have downloaded for this virtual machines. We already downloaded that file. So unlike the Unix, so here we just need to use this private key. So Cloudera training. So training Cloudera. So this is the key you have to use. Then decrypt. You will get the password for this box. Just copy that password and note it down. Okay. And we have a remote desktop option to connect that. So just hit connect, and then once prompted, type the password. Just hit enter, and this is something like some security warning. Just hit OK, yes, and then yes. So now we are connected to this server remotely. Just wait some time. So server is getting initialized. So once you are reached to your desktop, so we have to do certain configurations to make it into an Active Directory. So one important thing is disabling firewall, and actually the not disabling. So you have to configure the firewall in such a way that it should not block the port which it's using for user authentication. But we are not sure about that port and all. And also, since this is a completely testing environment, so you can turn off the firewall service on this Windows server. And a few things we need to do for that. Okay, for turning off firewall, just come here. Sorry, not here. Administrative tool control. Yeah, just go to the control panel, and security. I think not here. Just open this one, server manager, and local server. You can see the firewall. Okay, just hit that, and firewall on or off. By default, this local firewall is on. Just we will go ahead and turn off this firewall. So this is not recommended actually, but however, so since we are doing it in a testing way, so this is okay. But otherwise you have to check with Active Directory. And also if you're working in an enterprise, there will be a separate AD support team. So they will just give these few details to us. We will use that details and do our job. But here we are going to do all the things. And that is the one thing. Second is we are going to change the host name. We use some very good host name here, and just change instead of this alphanumeric combination, just use AD server. And we don't have any domain at this time, so we'll just use it as it is, and then hit OK. Then this require a restart. Okay, then we will do the restart now. So if you are doing it in your own local environment, you can download this Windows Server 2012 release DVD or image and create that server instance, and you can make use of that as a Active Directory server. And so the firewall means if you just turn it on, by default it block a lot of ports. So like because we are using this server as a authentication service for our remaining servers. Okay, so just wait some time, because we just restarted again. The restart will also take a few minutes. Just connect, and we'll see whether we are able to connect. think it's still not able to. Yeah, now it's okay. Type the password once prompted. Use this password. Click yes. And go to the server manager here. Just hit that and click here, add roles and features. Then click next. Use the role based or feature based installation, which is a default. We are using that, and then hit next. And here also we are just using the default. Next. And the one we are using is Active Directory Domain Services. Okay, and add features. So we are going to use this Active Directory Domain Services, and then hit next. Then this is also, we are just using the default. Next. Then install. Sorry, we are just, I just forgot to add that restart option. That is fine. So you'll have to wait until this installation finish. Okay, so that is done. The next step, what I need to do is just promote this server to a domain controller. Just hit that. And like I said, we have got three options. One is adding a domain controller to an existing domain, or adding a new domain, or adding a new forest. So in our case, so we don't have an existing forest or existing domain. So I'm just going to create a new forest. And root domain name, you can use any name. So I'm just using hadoop.com. Or no, not restricted, like, so you need to use this one. So you can choose any name which you feel comfortable. Like, this is mostly decided by your organization. And just hit next. And here what you have to do is just need some password. So any password. So type that password and again retype that password. Okay. So typed and retyped. Then go ahead and hit next. Then so DNS delegation. Okay, that is fine. I'm not doing this. And click next. That BIOS name by default it will come. Just hit next. Then next. And this is just a reviewing, and hit next. Okay, so this is saying some warning, but we can ignore this. And one is DNS. Okay, we don't have a static IP. And okay, so this is all okay, fine. And we'll go ahead and hit install. Okay, so this is successfully configured a domain controller. Once this is done, we can go ahead and close, and this is going to restart automatically. Okay, so now we have completed the installation of Active Directory in Windows Server. So this we will be using this Active Directory for our authentication purpose. So we will be using this as our centralized authentication mechanism. We are going to create users here, and the same users will be available in our other servers also, because we will not create the user manually in each and every machine. So we will do it in a centralized location in this ID. So just select and connect. I think we can just download this, or we can just use this IP address. We have a remote desktop tool. Okay, so this is not connected. Okay, so we will just use this remote desktop mstsc, and we have to use this public IP or public DNS and use it here and just try to connect. Okay, so this is saying remote computer is not ready, so we will have to wait a few more minutes, uh, as it may take some time. Maybe we just did a restart, so it's taking some time. Yeah. So in this case, once we did that, we have to use this domain name and slash administrator and then type the password. Just hit yes. By that time, let's turn on one of our master or one of our server. So training master, which is a Linux server and which is part of our Cloudera Hadoop cluster, which we deployed as a multi-node installation. Just hit and uh, action instance. I don't know. Maybe we might have selected multiple. Yeah, training master one. Then from action, start. Okay, so you can just go to the server manager here, and from here, tools, Active Directory, users and computers. And here you can see this domain we have created. Under users, we have got a lot of users, and computer, whatever the computers registered. So whenever we want to create users or group, we will be creating under here. So this is the domain. And on this server 389 port, so this Kerberos service is also running this Active Directory server. And when we do uh, active directory based Kerberos, so you need another service also to be installed, that is certificate service here. So for that, just use that add roles and features, but I will show you that when we get an error when we do the Kerberos enabling, then we will do that. Actually what we need is add here, so we have to add one more service, certificate service, then only that feature will work. And we will come back to our machine, and then once this is booted, we will have to connect, but since it's showing as initializing phase. Okay, so we will try to connect this Linux machine, which is part of our cluster, copy that IP address, and then use this one. And since we already have that for master, we already saved that. I think, I don't know whether we already did that. Just use this IP otherwise, and then SSH, just auth, use the key that we have created for this one, and Cloudera training. Use that HD user. Open. I think this is not the proper key. That is the reason. Just to type get again. Just use SSH auth browse new key. I think this is the key. Username is CentOS. Yeah. And colors using the system colors and using this one. What we are going to do here is just we have this AD server, and what is its private IP address, this one, and we need to make sure we are able to ping that server from here, right? So that is fine. Then the next thing what we need is update etc host and add this server name. So this server name is adserver.hadoop.com and the short is ad server. Okay, let's save it and just ping ad server and ping adserver.hadoop.com. That's also fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm just trying to integrate this Active Directory server with our Linux machine. So we already did this task. So just search integrate RHEL with the Active Directory. So that you can just use this link. So only thing is you need to install a few packages. So use yum install utility and to do this. You have to just open this. So SSSD, REAMD, ORJOBD, this one, ADCLI, Samba Common. So this tool and Kerberos workstation clients policy util. So these are the packages you need to install as part of AD integration. So AD to Linux integration, I mean to say. So this package I'm installing. Then once prompted, hit yes and continue. So what I have to do is just use, if I just use ID administrator at hadoop.com. So we have not integrated, but still it's saying no user. So what I am going to do as a next step, just ream join hyphen user, ream join hyphen user equal to administrator. Then what is the AD server? So that host name is adserver.hadoop.com. So basically I'm joining this Linux server with this Active Directory server, which is nothing but this server. Okay. And you may be thinking from where we got this one. So we just now we updated etc host and hit enter. So most of the time you may encounter some error if it is taking a lot of time and not prompting for password. So that means something is wrong. And in that case, you might have to restart your server. So whatever the server from where you are doing, not the Windows server, the Linux server, you might have to restart. So we will wait for that error. See, timeout. So we just need to make sure. So we have a telnet. So ream is nothing but the domain. Okay. So ream we use the term for referring in Kerberos term we use ream instead of domain. That is nothing but this part. So we just while creating this domain server we use some name called hadoop.com. So that is the ream name, and the Kerberos service is running on 389 on this server, and you can do telnet whatever the server name and 389 and just hit enter, and you should get a prompt like this. Okay, so that means So your service is working on this server properly. I mean, in this AD server, 389 is port is working. So 389 is the port that Kerberos is using. So we are able to communicate that, but this error is due to something that will resolve when we do a restart. Let me do a reboot. Okay. So I'm not going in depth because we already covered this part, AD joining. So what you have to do is just install these packages, then make sure you have a etc host file that is updated with the server IP. And so this is the username, and this is the AD server, and I'm just going to join this. So wait some time and then reconnect. So if you are getting an error message like this, so most probably if the timeout error, so you have to restart your Windows Linux server, not the Windows one. Just a restart connection. So that means it will try to reconnect. Restart session. Yeah. So it's asking for username, and once prompted, switch to root user, because you have to switch to root user, and just type the same message again. I mean same command, ream join hyphen user. What is the username, and what is the AD server name? Just enter. Yeah, this time it's asking for typing the password for administrator. So that is nothing but the password for admin is password for that AD user. Or else you can create some admin user which is having proper right access, and use that also. But here we have admin user, just hit enter. So if you type something wrong password, definitely it will show that error. And so this time no error. So just use ream list. So this is listing. Just use the ream list and you can make sure. So this is properly connected to Active Directory server. Now if I use ID administrator at hadoop.com. So this is just printing the user ID and group details. Earlier, this message was not coming. So I'm just typing another user ID at okay, I'm just checking this user ID exists or not. So not exist in Windows. That is the reason it's saying. So if I go to this Windows and go to the user, just right click and sorry, I think just right click here, new user. Just use my name, and whatever the first name, last name, you can type the detail, and login name is, so this is the username, whatever the username at hadoop.com. Hit next and type the password. Just use user must change the password. So these are the options you can use. Like whenever you onboard an organization, mostly you will get a message like, so you have to change your password. So the reason is they might have ticked this option. And go ahead and next. So this is saying your login name is this one. Just finish. Now if I just do this here, I can see my user ID, and it's pointing the default groups. And another thing what you notice here is if I just use username alone, so this is not working, but with this fully qualified username it's working. So if you go back and execute a ream list command again, you can see the login format it's saying. And the reason is it's using this way for representing the user ID that we can edit by using etc sssd SSD conf. I don't know. It is sorry, not SSS SSD dot conf. So this is the file name etc. This one and this one. Just enter. Here you can see use fully qualified now. So this you can change from true to false. And home directory. So what name it use? So we just use we don't need this much option. Just use /home, then the username. That's enough for us. Right. Just to save this file. And once you save, you need to restart SSD service. So you can use systemctl restart this one. Then now just check the status and make sure SSD is running. Now you should be able to type and to verify this. Okay. Yes. Not if I just use. So that is also both are working now. So and I should be able to. Okay. Let me log out from here. I think this. So normally you should be able to logging with this ID, but see we have some restrictions in our AWS account. So that is blocking the username password based authentication. However, you can just use switch command, switch, so that it from the password. So this is the password that we used while creating this user ID. So now you can see we have into a directory / from this ID, and you can see this is getting created. And if I type ID, so it's only pointing to domain user. Like I can create a new group also here. So new group uh, test grp. So this is the group name and a global and a security group. So we have security group and distribution list, and I'm choosing the security one. Just hit OK. And this user I'm just going to add into that member of, there is an option called and test gr. Check the name, it will automatically come test grp. Just hit OK and apply. Hit again OK. So now if I type ID, uh, if I type ID, you can see he is part of this group also, test grp. Right. And get en. Sorry, get ent. You can see whatever the users were associated to this group. So this way we integrated this Linux machine with this Active Directory. Similarly, we have to do it for all the hosts, so that all the hosts should have the same user available. So whenever a user onboard, like in an enterprise, what they will do, so if you want to create a user, just create the user here and add him to the appropriate groups. Then that user will be automatically reflected to the all host. Okay. So what we are going to do here is now we'll have to start the Cloudera manager first. Training master and just use this, and here 7180, that is a Cloudera manager IP. Use admin and admin, so that is a credential. You can see the most of the services are down. The reason is I have not yet started those services. And what I'm going to do here is, so training master is already running, master 2, master 3, worker 2, worker 3. And worker 3. So all the training host I'm going to start, and master 2 3 worker 1 2 3, and I'm trying to integrate all those servers with this Active Directory. So let me connect to the second master. Just take this, and new session, use that IP address, go to the SSH, then choose that key, then once prompted type CentOS. Then what we need here is we just need to do the installation of all those packages. So copy this entire line and yum install command and add it here. Okay, so while this is getting installed, let me log into the master 3. Just get this IP address, open new session, just use this IP, SSH auth, then browse, and this. Then so let me connect this worker 1. Just use this IP address, new, just SSH auth, and use this key. Worker 2, just use that. Auth. And take the last one, worker 3. Okay, so let me increase this font size and change the color. And okay, so we'll go to the host master 3, and here also I'm just going to uh, increasing the font and changing the color so that so display will be much better. Change settings, then colors, use the system color. Okay, so we have installed that package here. So once this is done, so we'll go into the next host and to do that. And worker 1 here also will do that, and worker 2 here also will do that, and worker 3 here also will do that. Oh, sorry, everywhere we need to switch to root, because without the root, the yum installation won't work. So here also I need to switch to root user and do that. One prompted, type yes, and I think here we already did that on master 2. So what I need to do is update etc host /etc host and this entry. So what is the AD server IP details? I have to add it here. So /etc host, just come down and add that as a line, save it. Here also /etc host, just add it here, and worker 1, so the installation is not completed. Here also yes, and here also yes. So use vi, and here also I think yes, it's already updated. Okay, everywhere I have updated etc host, and the next command I need to type is join this using that ream join command. Okay, so we use the same command that we use here. So the ream join -user and this command. So if this command is taking time and or not working, so definitely we will have to restart that. Step 3, sometimes without a restart it works. So if it's not working, we will have to restart this host. It also looks like this is most of the, if it's taking a lot of time, so that means it's not able to communicate. Right, the same error that we got. So we will just go ahead and reboot the server here. Just do that. And here also the same thing. Just do reboot. Here also. And do reboot. Here also do a reboot. So on this is rebooting. So sometimes it takes a few minutes. So we'll have to see whether this is done. So once this is done, from the same terminal, you would be able to reconnect. Just use this restart session option. Just a restart session. I don't know whether this is not completed. Uh, Here also it's not getting. So maybe it needs few more minutes just to do that and restart connection. Oops. Yeah, so this is getting connected. Just use the CentOS, use sudo su, and use the same thing. Uh, See, the first thing you have option to do it. AD joining is only the one-time activity. So maybe as part of server provisioning, so they might have some script to do that. So again, it's not a Hadoop admin job. So mainly that deployment team might have some scripts or maybe some tool to do that, like Puppet, Ansible, or some deployment tools they might have already available, and they will just do that. And we are doing it just for our demonstration purpose. So, but in actual case, we want need to do. Actually, it's a core Unix admin's job. So they do this job. Okay. But I don't know, like so they are using it using some but when they deploy and give this to this one server, so it will be already connected to this AD server. So definitely they will be using some automation mechanism to do that. And also the server deployment mostly this they do some kind of automation, so not the manual one. So we will do the same thing, copy it and do it, restart session, and use CentOS. Just use that, and once prompted, type this password and go to this worker one, restart session. We'll have to use the same AD join command here. Okay, just use ream list, and yes, it's working. Just do the same command, ream list, that is working here, and here also ream list, that is working here. And like we have done in other master one, etc sssd, then sssd.conf. So here we just need to use fully qualified name as false, and this one just a percentage u alone. Just use systemctl restart plus d, and we edit the same on other host. Just use fully qualified name as false, systemctl restart just fully qualified name as false, and to use systemctl restart SSD here also. So all this file change and all, instead of doing manually, there are some tools available. So configuration management tools like Puppet, Ansible, or Chef. So in a big enterprise, they will be making use of these tools. Okay, and at last, worker 3, open the file, and fully qualified name as false. Systemctl. Okay, so now if I use my ID here, yes, it's working on worker 3 and worker 2, that is fine. On worker 1, sorry, on worker 1, that is fine, and master 3, that is fine, and master 2 also, that is fine. So now we integrated all the servers with this Active Directory. And next thing what we are going to do here is, so we have a Cloudera manager, and so we are managing this with the Cloudera manager, all our cluster. And we are going to use this AD authentication for this Cloudera manager. And before going that, so when you look into the Cloudera manager users, okay, so there are two types of users. One is it's a local user. The second is the AD user, okay, or external user. So we can say by default two types of users are there. So one is like you say local. So local in the sense it used in Cloudera Manager DB, and external means like LDAP or AD or whatever it may be, like external authentication tools. And local users is using in DB. In our case, we have a local DB as a MySQL. Okay, so in this DB, all the details will be stored. And if you go to this from the administration, so once you log into the Cloudera Manager, go to the administration, hit users, and you can see only one user available, admin. And we have only option to change the password. So I'm just going to add one more user. Username is luser1, and whatever the password, retype and confirm that password. And these are the different roles. Read-only user means this user would be just able to read all the things. Okay, so let's see that. So luser1 and what this permission looks like. And we have a dashboard administrator, BDR administrator, full administrator, cluster. These are the different roles, right? So this user is having that, and also you can see this is user type is the Cloudera manager, that is local in nature. And just log out and log in, and once you type the password, you'd be able to log in. But unlike other thing, this is just a read only, so you won't be able to make any changes here, right? And also on the service side also, we have only the download client configuration. Mostly when the developers ask for this Cloudera manager access, we will give this type of access, read only user. But admin, there will be multiple admin available in an environment. For that, we will be setting user in a different way, administrator, users. Also, what I said, like we can change its password, or we can add the user. Once you click that, okay, I think, yeah, L user. So we can change its role. Okay, so say for example, I can change it to full administrator. So if I just full administrator role, so this user will have the full access. Like if I use L user one and type the password, you can see. So we have an option to start, stop, etc. So basically this user is from its local database. What I'm going to do here is, so we will be using our external authentication system, that is this one, Active Directory. For that, uh, for that purpose, so let me first go to the configuration and we'll show you how this configuration can be done. So first go to the administration, then go to the settings, and you can see there is a filter under category option. So select that external authentication and authentication backend order. So this will define on which order this Cloudera manager looks this user credential when we try to log in. Database only means it will always look into its backend local database. Okay, so external then database means first it will look into the external service provider like LDAP, Active Directory, then its local database. The database then external only, but external only is a problem. But we will have emergency admin access. But what we will do, the database first and then external. Then this will say, okay, what type of authentication. So we can say Active Directory, LDAP, SAML, external, etc. So we have Active Directory here. So Active Directory URL. Okay, so if you just move your mouse here, you can see how we are defining. So the LDAP URL. So it's something like LDAP colon IP, whatever it may be. So in our case, so this is see, Active Directory is a Windows product that we have done. So here LDAP means Open LDAP distribution. Okay. So in here you can see the LDAP one. This is something like there is another tool, Open LDAP, which is a Unix-based implementation of a directory service. So that will also in a protocol wise that will work at the same manner that this AD works, but the look and feel and the way we operate is completely different in Open LDAP. But here we have Active Directory. So this is something like the port is telnet. So AD server dot. So this is the host name and port name is 389. So make sure you are able to make telnet to this one. So this is the IP and 389. So in that case, you use LDAP colon slash slash. What is the colon name and 389. So here it's saying the way we have to write is this way. So LDAPs or LDAP and use this. Bind username. Okay. So bind username is the username which is having admin privilege. So bind username, you can create a bind username and which is having a elevated access here. So for that you can create a user like so I'm going to create a new user. So new user what HAdmin or something, HadoopAdmin or whatever it may be. Okay, so HAdmin at hadoop.com, and you can set the password. Okay, HAdmin at hadoop.com. So this is the super user which I am going to use as my that we have a lot of ways we can use, but it's asking to use a distinguished name. Okay, so distinguished name user bind as. So for getting the distinguished name, so what you have to do is just hit this user, and we have an option. So to enable that, I think under view we have to click this advanced features also, and then go to the users, then HAdmin, just hit properties, and you can see one more thing like attribute editor. Okay, So for viewing attribute editor, here you have to enable this advanced feature, then only this attribute editor will be there. Why we are using attribute editor is you can get this full name, distinguished name for that. Oh, sorry, just to hit there, you will get that. CN equal to Hadoop, CN equal to HAdmin, CN equal to users, and CN equal to Hadoop, and DC equal to Hadoop, and DC equal to com. So this is the name that we have to use. So that you will get from attribute editor. So that is a bind user. But this user is just a normal user right now. So this HAdmin. So we will give that access here. Just click here. Just uh, delegate control something is there. That will add permission and use that username. So we can just use this way, or okay. So I think just use HAdmin. So like we just do the search. Yes, this is the user, and hit OK and click next. So what are the permissions we need? We may need some read access. I think most probably we need to do that read only, but I am giving the full access. But I don't know what are the permissions we need for here. But in this case, read only we need. Okay, just selecting that. So now this HAdmin looks like a administrator user under this entire thing. Okay, just use that. And what is the password? Password for this user and domain. So domain name is okay. So in our case, it's a Hadoop.com, right? So user search filter and group search filter. The user search filter you can ignore this, and also the user group also we can ignore, no problem. So users search based definitely we need. So where we need to search this user. I'm just using this entire directory. This one. So search filter also. This is something like which identify the users. Okay, so we can ignore that I think. And full administrator. Group search base also we will be using this DC equal to Hadoop and DC equal to home. So we just use this option and Active Directory URL, bind username and bind username password, and this is the domain name, and search base where we want to do the group search base also, and full admin group. So I'm just going to create it's a couple of users and group here. Just new group CM full admin, and a group user CM user 01, and username is 01. Let's use, type the password. Okay, so that this is the user I created, and I have the group, just adding that user to that group. So member of adding. So what is the Cloudera? Sorry, what was the group name we created? CM full admin. Okay, just use, go to the member of, just add CM full admin. Click OK, apply, and use. and LDAP full administrator group. So this group name we will write. Okay. So what is the group name? So you can just see. So a list of LDAP group name. So user is. So we can add multiple groups. So we will be using CM full admin. So the group name is this one that we will be adding here. Okay. And so the remaining things we will add as default. Just save these changes. Okay. So let me go through that things once again. So this order we choose this one, authentication active directory, LDAP URL. This is the URL where our active directory is running, and this is the port, and bind user distinguished name. So this is the user we created and given the full access on that directory, and that it's a password, and domain name, that is hadoop.com, and where we want to search user. So if you have some particular organization unit, if you want to control the search limited to certain area, that we can do, but I am doing it under the global hadoop.com level, and group also. And this is the group name that we are whatever the user who belongs to this should be, and also user LDAP user groups, and the list of LDAP groups. If the user is not member of one or more config, the user is prevented. Okay, so here we will uh, create another group and add that also. CM users or something. New group CM users. Okay, and CM user 1, I'm just adding it into CM users also. Click OK, apply, and then OK. And add that group name. So LDAP user group CM users. Okay, and search base and a full name. So saving this change. So once this is saved, let's restart this Cloudera manager server service. So go to this master systemctl, restart Cloudera. Okay, and we will just check the status. This is running, and use the telnet localhost 7180. So that is a port where Cloudera manager is running. Okay, so we will have to wait until this port we are able to connect. So if we are not able to connect this port means, so the Cloudera manager server is not properly running. So not up and running. So we will wait. The status is still showing it's active, and so we'll have to wait a few minutes to get this up and running. Now we will see. Yes, this is up and running. Then we will just use this CM user 01 and see whether we are able to use user 01 and use the password, and yes, see, Actually, this is not a local user, and this is the user from external. Go to the users, and you can see this is an external user, right? And whatever the user, so we just restricted the user based on the membership, and whatever the role this user has received. Let's check the profile, and he or she is part of full administrator. And let me log out and log in and see. Go to the configuration and external accounts. Sorry, not external account. Settings and external authentication. I'm just reviewing the things what we have done so far. Authentication order we changed. External authentication type we changed. LDAP URL. Bind user distinguished username. So bind user is the user that this Cloudera manager used to query, do an LDAP search query. And this is something any user which we have given that elevated access, or we can call delegate control on the whatever the organization unit. So these folders are called organization unit. You can see whatever the computers we added and the users. So I've given access, but I think mainly we need to give delegated access or delegate control on this domain alone. So that is fine. And that use password, and this is the domain name, and this is the group. So not all the users have access to Cloudera Manager, because we just need the users who are part of certain groups. I mean, so only administrator need access here, right? Again, within the admin also, so whoever belongs to the CM users group will have access to this one. But so this is like from where we want to do the searching. So this is something like from the base, and what kind of, based on the group, we will give different roles. So now we have seen full access. So CM full admin. So now I need access to my ID, and it role should be user administrator. So like you can see, full administrator, user administrator, cluster administrator, BDR, etc. There are a lot of roles available. So I need access my ID, the ID which I created some time back. But so how do I give the access? And I need to have the CM full admin access. In that so what we can do, we will just try to log in, because I already have that ID. Okay, sorry. So this is saying the user is not authorized. The reason is my ID is not belongs to that particular group we have mentioned there. So what I'm going to do here is, so we have a group like a CM admin. So whoever part of that group, I mean, I think this is CM users. Uh, whoever part of that group, not CM full admin, whoever part of member of, I think, or is the members, yeah, uh, CM full admin, CM users, and members. So whoever part of this group only will have access to this cluster. So let me go ahead and add my ID. Just check the name and add, apply, and so my ID is added to this CM users group. So if you see here, admin and settings, external authentication, whoever belongs to this LDAP users group only, this user only we are restricting the I mean access. Now just add my user. I'm able to access and see my profile permission. So I have a read-only access only. By default, I'm getting read-only access since my ID is added to this CM users group. So if I add my ID to, okay, you can see my role here, right? Read only. So if I add my ID to CM full admin, just hit that members and add my ID. Just check this name, click OK, apply and OK. So now if I log out and log in again, if I just go to my profile, you can see my access has changed to full administrator. Reason is I just added my ID to that group. So let me go ahead and add a couple of more groups, and we will keep switching ID in between and see. Go to the settings, external authentication, CM full admin, and we will create user CM user admin, and for cluster admin CM cluster admin, and BDR. So most of the time we just need a single full admin, but sometimes if you need a restriction, that we can do CM BDR admin. Okay, so these are the groups which I'm just trying to create and add the users on that. So full admin we used, so just going to create CM user admin group here. Just users, new group, this one, and I hit OK. What I'm just going to do is from full admin group, where is that? Yeah, CM full admin. I'm just going to remove my ID, apply, OK. And now let me log in with my ID and see what is the permission. I should get a read-only permission. Yes, that is fine. Right now, I'm not part of any of the groups. That is the reason. So now I'm going to add. Okay, I already have the group like CM CM user admin, right? So just add my user to over here. Just add my ID. Just check and then hit OK, then apply and then OK. So now let me log out and log in again using my ID. From here, just use user administrator, right? Earlier read only, now become user administrator. Now log out. So similarly, I'm just creating different groups and switching my ID between that group so that I will add different permission to me. So BDR administrator. So I will create my ID. I mean, create a group like this, BDR administrator, and add my. Okay, so user admin. I'm just removing my ID from here. Creating new group and BDR admin, adding my ID here. Now if I check my profile, you can see this is changed to BDR admin. I hope this is clear how to integrate Cloudera Manager with the Active Directory. It's all based on the group membership. We control the access and in Cloudera Manager. So normally this Cloudera manager access is restricted to admin team. So maybe they won't add you each and every member ID separately. So they will add a separate group and add your ID to that group. What you have to do is external authentication. You have to go through this one. Active Directory. What is the Active Directory URL? So what is the domain, bind user, domain, etc. And also for each role, we have a separate groups created, and we will add users on that. And also there is a group. So if the people are not member of this group, they won't have any access. Like if they are access, then definitely they will have at least read access. So if I just add users to this group, they will have read access. So based on the below groups, they will have a special permission. So this is how we integrate this Cloudera manager with the external authentication to Active Directory. So any questions here, if people have? Okay, let me go to the chat. Purpose is same. I think what is the difference between AD and LDAP? I think this one I explained when we did that Active Directory installation in the first class. So AD is a Windows product, and normally the LDAP is just the protocol, and that is used for this directory service. Directory service is nothing but the username and its credential and other properties. Not only username and credentials, we have accommodate lot more properties. Like when you join a company, so they will add you in the Active Directory, and you will have your ID, password, you have your seat number, desk number, manager ID, your location, address, home address, everything. Lot of details you can accommodate. But we are just making use of a very minimal thing like user ID and group membership here. And actually, LDAP is a protocol that serves this purpose, and we have two types of implementation mainly. One is Open LDAP, which is nothing but the free Unix-based distribution that helps us to build this LDAP service. And the second is IAD, Active Directory, so that is from Windows. And so AD is also using the same protocol. And yeah, I think we don't have any other questions. So any other question, guys? You can use the chat, or if you have anything, you can just talk also. I'll just keep. So everyone is clear how to integrate this uh, Cloudera manager with Active Directory, right? So if you don't have any question, you can confirm that in the chat also. Okay, so then let's just take a 5 minutes break and then continue. I hope everyone is back. So now we have successfully completed this Cloudera Manager AD integration. Now we will see how to enable Kerberos to this cluster. So Kerberos is used for adding an extra security. So by default, you all know, like, so the problem with the Hadoop is, so Hadoop is having a very weak security model. Like, let me switch to uh, from here. Let me switch to this user. Okay, so I just log in here, and if I just use hdfs dfs-ls/user, so only this one available. I don't have any home directory for my ID, so I'm just using like hdfs dfs-mkdir/user. Right. Actually, this is on by slash is on by HDFS user, which is a super user. And that is the reason I'm not able to create a directory under slash user. And if I just use, okay, so this is the permission, like we have a super user in Linux root. So in HDFS is the super user in Hadoop. So one solution is switch to HDFS user and create this. But even you need not to switch to HDFS user, just export one variable, export Hadoop underscore user underscore name equal to HDFS. You just set this variable and execute this one. You will get the super users privilege. See, the same command you failed here was able to execute after setting this. So that is people saying by default Hadoop is having a very weak security mechanism in place. So like everyone is having write or read or whatever the delete access on others data. See, this is the user, but he is, after setting this environment variable, he is able to create. Also, similarly, he should be able to delete also. So this is very, this is not safe. Like if I have access, I should be able to delete your file. I should be able to modify your file. So there is no restrictions. Just he or she need to export this environment variable. So even though he is not able to switch to that user, that is fine, but he need not to switch. He can use this one. So now if I use hdfs dfs-ls/user, you can see even though I executed from this user, see this is created with hdfs, right? So basically if I just set this environment variable and add this property, so this is creating with this permission. What I use hdfs dfs, I'm just adding ch on and on for this directory, right? So that will also change the ownership of this directory. And
Hey, hey, what are we covering right now? Please, sorry, okay? I just
sorry.
yeah. What topic are we covering right now? I just came so from the break, you know.
Oh,
Sorry.
no, we were just, I was just trying to create a directory. So we are just saying about the Hadoop security model. So by default, if it's using a very weak for security model, if you just set this environment variable with your ID, so you should get super user access. So no need to do anything. So that is why people are saying Hadoop is having a very weak security mechanism by default. So in order to prevent this, so there is a security option called Kerberos. Okay. So Kerberos make sure like, so we have a proper authentication. So I will explain the Kerberos theory later. You can also search something and read the documentation on Kerberos, how this works. So in our case, we have a AAD server which act as a Kerberos server, Kerberos KDC, and uh, uh, key server, and we will be integrating our all Hadoop components with this Kerberos. And by using that Kerberos, it makes sure like we have a proper. This thing won't work in that case. Okay, so we need a proper key to do that. So this class we will see how to set up in by using Cloudera Manager. Theory we will do in the next session, but at least I recommend you to read something on the Kerberos. So try to read as much as documentation or forums that you can do with the Kerberos. But this one we will be focusing on the uh, demo part. So how to do that? First thing what you have to do is go to the administration. Then there is an option called security. Okay, and Kerberos is disabled by default. So are we providing security with AD? So we are using Active Directory for this setup. Okay, so we are using Active Directory as a Kerberos server. Kerberos KDC means Key Distribution Center. So there are some few prerequisites. I've installed client library, open in lab client library. If you want to use all Kerberos client library, okay. We will see that. We will just take this one, and in case if you have feel like any error message, we will try to troubleshoot this. Otherwise, you can just install Cloudera. So what you have to do is KRB5 clients and KRB5 libs, so that we can do install. Because as part of prerequisites, OpenLDAP client library should be installed on Cloudera Manager server if you want to use Active Directory. Also, Kerberos client libraries be installed on all hosts. I think this is already installed. KRB Kerberos. I don't know what is a Kerberos client. Okay, so we will ignore that this time, and we will go ahead. Then just continue. And so we have two options: MIT KDC and Active Directory. So we are going with the Active Directory. So there are few things that we need to do here. The first part is create an organization unit. Organization unit looks like a directory similar to this one. Just hit here and the new, and there is an option called organization unit. I just use Cloudera Kerberos. Okay, so this is the name that we have. You can just tick this for accidental deletion, just adding. And whatever the user we are using, so we need to delegate a right access here. Just use delegate control. Then what is the user? Hdfs, I think that is a user. Yeah, you can have any user and give. I think we need to. It should have to create access also. I'm giving full access on this organization unit alone. Okay, so this will ensure that Hdadmin user is having a super user access here. So this is the organization unit, and we will come back here. And the first thing, what is the ream name? So ream name is nothing but our domain name. So KDC server host. Okay, so the host where KDC is located. Port number is optional and can be used. So the host name is adserver.hadoop.com. So KDC server, and this is also the same, adserver.hadoop.com. Domain name we can just use like hadoop.com, and encryption choose the default. So OU equal to Hadoop. What is this? Directory suffix where the account. Okay. See, where we want to. This is the Active Directory suffix means where all the account used by CDH daemon will be created. Used only if Active Directory KDC is used for authentication. See, we have a separate organization unit. Okay, choose this one and use that here. OU equal to Cloudera Kerberos DC equal to Hadoop.
Hello?
Okay, then use hdadmin at hadoop.com. That is the username, and use a password. Right. So this is the user which I think looks like an. So are you guys able to hear me properly?
No, I lost you for a bit. I think on previous screen we couldn't see anything.
Okay, so let me go back and show you that. So this is something like, okay, the first page we have already seen. So only very few details we just use. The server name, ream name, and that Active Directory suffix means where we are going to add this username that we use for this Kerberos enabling. And the next page will we have two options: manage krb5.conf through Cloudera manager, or that is the default is unticked. You can tick that so that all the host, the Cloudera manager will control this krb5.conf file, and hit next. And this is the user that is we have given delegated access here, and that its password. Just continue. So definitely it fails. The reason is, so we have not enabled LDAP-S. Somewhere it's used LDAP-yes for. Okay. So if you read the message, you can see. So please make sure Active Directory configuration is correctly specified and LDAP over SSL is enabled. The reason is LDAP-S is not enabled. And also if you see here, it's using this 636 port. If you just go to one of the hosts and connect, and we will verify that whether we are able to use 636 port telnet, right? So we are not able to connect immediately. It's you can see the connection closed by foreign host. That means we are not able to connect with the 636. So 389 is the port where LDAP is running. 636 is the port where LDAP-S is running. So LDAP-S means LDAP over SSL. So for that, what you have to do is just have to install a couple of services. Just go here, add roles and features, click next, choose the default one. Here also choose the default one, and Active Directory certificate service. Just hit add services, add features, then next, next, and then next. choose the default one, certificate authority, then restart the destination. Once it's done, then go ahead and hit install. So we just install certificate service, Active Directory certificate service, and we have choose all the default parameters when prompted. So this will install a certificate authority service, and this is similar to the one we did while doing Active Directory domain service installation. So similarly, one more component, Active Directory certificate service. Just hit this, and okay. So this is the one we configure Active Directory certificate service. Just hit next. Use the certificate authority. Then next, enterprise CA. Everything I'm just using the default because I just need this service to be enabled. How many years we need? Then next, then configure. That's it. Configuration succeed. Then okay. So now if I just use 389, okay, 636, now it's not running. Maybe so this is running in backend. I think we may need to restart. Let's just search whether we are able to connect 636 now. I think it requires a reboot. Just I'm not able to. Now to go to the settings, then go to the power, just restart. We will just see whether this IP address has changed. This is the public IP. Just connect. It's still rebooting. Then whatever the password, use that password here, then connect. Yes, and definitely I think now we should be able to do this 636. So this is the port where LDAP-S is running, and if I go to the server manager, okay, so 636 is the port where LDAP-S is running, and you can just do Control C, and 389 is LDAP port. Now we will go back to this wizard and just try to do a retry. Okay, so I think this is able to do, verify the credential. Go ahead and hit next, continue. And this is the principal name or username that is going to create. Just hit continue. And this is the port, the default port. I'm choosing the default. Yes, I'm okay to restart the services to take effect. Just hit continue. So this will do a couple of steps like creating user in Active Directory, and then doing few things. Let me go to the Active Directory users and computers and go to the organization tree or wherever I have created. Just come here and do refresh. So you can see there are a few users created. So these are the users created by this wizard. Okay, show all the steps and you can see what are the steps it's doing. So deploying KRB5, then creating the users. So this user ID is used by each and every services which is running in Cloudera Manager. So that includes the Cloudera management service as well as the CDH component. So we specified this organization unit, Cloudera Kerberos, in the wizard. That is the reason it's creating here. And also it need LDAP-S service, not LDAP-S alone. So that is the reason we need to install this certificate service here. Okay, so once that is done, doing the redeployment, and it's just restarting the cluster by using the Kerberos. So it's just starting HDFS and yarn. Okay, so this is done. Hit continue. Then it's saying you have successfully completed Kerberos wizard. That's the only thing you need to do for enabling Kerberos. So HDFS health issue, that is fine because we just restarted the service. Now, if I just let me open a session and CentOS, let's see hyphen my ID. Okay. So now if I just do hdfs dfs -ls /user, see, I'm not able to view that. Just to do klist, no, valid couldn't. I think something is wrong here. Let me. Actually, it should work. I think something wrong or something misconfiguration happened here. So let's try to restart HDFS service and see. Just to do a restart. The entire cluster we will do restart and see. Something is wrong. I'll have to troubleshoot this one. Kerberos. Security, then so I'm just checking inspector and inspector results. Java has configured with a limited strength encryption. Okay, I'll have to troubleshoot this. So normally it should work because I tried the same thing and don't know, some sort of misconfiguration is there. So let me do it and I'll show you in the next class. I think it's already a bit late for you people. Okay. So just try to do this, and again in the next class I will explain more on how this Kerberos works and what are the other options that we can use Kerberos, etc. Because the Kerberos is very important when we talk about the security. So this add extra layer of protection to our Hadoop cluster. I think with the interest of time, let's wind up for now. Just because we need not to do an extra key in it here. So we already have the key available for each and every user. Because if we go to K list, we can see, and if I do a K destroy and then K init, sorry, P at 0 RD. And now if we do a K list, yes, this is, we have a proper key available. Then HDFS, DFS / user. Something has some issue. Another option is we can go to this Hdfs Key Tab. So var run Cloudera SCM agent, then process, and if you go to this directory, you can see one directory with the this name node. So go to that directory and type ls, and you can see one key tab file for this HDFS. So this key tab I can copy to my directory /home, and I can use that. Okay, so this is the directory I copied. So it's from the same node, and I need to change the ownership because then only I should be able to view that. Then go back to that user. And now we have got sorry, not HDFS. I have to go to my ID, then klist -kt, then I can use kinit -kt, this key tab file, then this principal name. If I just do klist, I got the key from this one, not my ID. So don't get confused, like if you're not able to understand. So this is just I'm just making use of this credential rather than my own credential. I just use HDFS dfs-ls/ for this it's working, but for other user it's not working. I think I'll have to try with some other user. Just user create a new user, then H user, then finish. So here I already have this HDFS credential from my ID. If I just use klist, yeah, then what I am creating is HDFS DFS. Okay, not here. What we will do, we will just switch to H user, whatever the user we created, right? So su-h user, then once prompted, type the password. And if I use klist, because if your AD Linux integration is there, by default you login, you will have the ticket, granting ticket from this one. Now if you use HDFS DFS -ls/user, see, okay, Java X SASL exception. I'll try to sort it out and see what we can. Okay. So then we will wind up for now. And we will meet the next week, the same time, Saturday.